Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. Welcome to the JWhit Podcast, formerly known as Dear Woke Christian. Appreciate you stopping by on this evening. I got a fun show for you planned tonight. I'm going to go over, of course, the name change. Lots of people were asking, what's up with the new branding? What's up with that? A lot of you all know this channel was called Dear Woke Christian. Shout out to Dear Woke Christian. Got the t-shirt on tonight. And lots of people were asking, hey, well, let me rewind for a second. Dear Woke Christian, what was the purpose of that channel? The name, Dear Woke Christian. The name, the purpose, the name, the mission was to put my thumb in your eye if you were somebody that embraced critical race theory, social justice, and Black Lives Matters, because they are antithetical to the scriptures. The scriptures don't support the idea of reverse racism, social justice, or anything of that nature. And so I wanted to really propose that we reconsider how we're approaching this. And this was during the summer of love, 2020, when people were burning down stuff, going crazy, bonkers, right? And I said, hey, hey, dear woke Christian, how do you handle this? Because there were literally people on Twitter, it was called Twitter back then, that were saying like, hey, I could be a woke Christian. This is what woke Christians do, blah, 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 blah. Woke Christians do the work. Woke Christians do this. And I was just asking questions like, hey, how do you give the gospel to a white person after you just shanghaied them for reparations? How does that work, woke Christian? And such of that nature. So that's really the genesis of the channel, Dear Woke Christian. And I still have the videos up on my channel that kind of explain that in a little bit longer tail over time. And on that channel, Dear Woke Christian, I would do sermon reviews and I would do lecture reviews and pulling all these people who were professing to be woke or embracing social justice or Black Lives Matters and really, testing it out to the scriptures. And it was super fun. Had a great time doing it. Over time, however, my interest in things that I wanted to talk about, because I was kind of pigeonholed to talk about this particular topic. And it was really difficult to talk about other topics that were interesting to me or interesting to the audience. Or if I would talk about things that might be interesting to the audience, they wouldn't come because they wouldn't expect me to be talking about that. And it was just they were starting to become a slight disconnect. And then the YSL trial happened. And I don't even know what happened. I have no idea how. I have to go back and think about it. How did I get on the Young Slime Life, Young Successful Life, whatever trial that was here in Atlanta? And I started reporting on it. And it would be like day-long live streams. It'd be on live stream for 8-9 hours a day. And it was very interesting. Lots of hijinks, lots of shenanigans, all kinds of chicanery going on in this trial. It was crazy. And somebody asked me one day, so, hey, are you going to drop the name Dear Woke Christian? I'm like, why, man? I'm over here giving social political commentary from a Christian male perspective. I can talk about this. So, yeah, but what you're talking about doesn't really necessarily jive with the name. But I was starting to talk about a lot of law cases and such of that nature, and dip my toes in politics and all these other things that I really wanted to talk about and wanted to add my commentary on that I was no longer able to do. Or rather, I had not been able to do when I was just doing social political commentary from a Christian male perspective as Dear Woke Christian. And so thought about it, prayed about it, played around with some imagery, played around with some logos, played around with all that kind of stuff like that. I came up with a logo that really jumped out at me. I said, man, I like this a lot. So I don't know, this might be it. And I just kind of played around a little bit more. And I was kind of playing around with the idea all the way back then, right? So maybe I will change his name. Got the logo, got the branding, got all those kind of things lined up. I said, hey, when I hit 50,000, because I was hoping I'd hit 50,000 a lot sooner, I said, the big celebration would be the name change and the rebrand. And, still trudging through, trying to make it work and putting out content that I thought the audience would like. That's where we started talking about Mayor Mondays and the Saturday school report card. All those kind of things like that started coming up because I was like, hey, I'm not pigeonholed to only be talking about what's going on in the quote unquote woke church or woke Christian discussion. So lots of new opportunities to talk about different topics. Of course, this is where Dalton came in. We've been talking about Dalton for a while, right? And I decided that, you know what? I think the channel might have run its course. Talked to a couple mentors. I talked to other people, smart thinkers. I say, hey, I think this channel by its name has run its course. Woke really isn't that big of a thing anymore. We are in a post-woke world. and such of that nature. And maybe I should just go ahead and jump off the woke train now rather than hold on to it. And, some people have said, well, just go by the moniker. I mean, the monogram DWC, which is fine. Or something of that nature. I said, I think it might have run its course. And the final nail in the coffin, if you will, made it clear to me is I was talking to a content creator and I was listening to her talk to me, and she would call me, hey, DWC this, or Dear Woke this, that, and the third. And a lot of the time, content creators just refer to each other by their channel names. But I'm fine with my name is Jason. And I was listening to the person. I say, hey, real quick, do you know what my name is? And she honestly said, I don't know your name. I don't know. I didn't like that. Like, wait, hold on. You don't know what my name is? And I've met you. Like, no, I don't know your name. There are people I know I've met in real life. I don't know their names either. But I was like, wait, why don't you know my name? And so I said, okay, that was it. That was a nail in the coffin. I said, I'm going to go ahead and retire DWC. I still got my DWC hat. I still got the DWC hoodie. I have ordered a JWhit Podcast hoodie and a JWhit Podcast hat. But back to the point. I said, you know what? It might be time. The DWC may have run its course. And now it might be time to rebrand, give the channel a new facelift, and move in the direction that we've already been going in, which is doing a lot of social and political commentary, still remain from a Christian perspective, but we don't have to be pigeonholed into only talking about what Ibram X. Kendi or Jamar Tisby is ranting about. I said, hey, I think we're going to pull the trigger. So that's what happened on last week. I got everything lined up, had all my little websites lined up, and started changing them all simultaneously. I think I did pretty good. There's a couple places where I made a couple mistakes and didn't change everything. And there's a couple of sites that I don't use that frequently that I kind of forgot the passwords. But I will definitely get in there and change those eventually as well. So anyway, that is why DWC is retired. That is why we are now the JWhit Podcast. And I miss doing live streams too. I have to admit, live streams are a lot of fun, but with some of the things going on here at Whitaker Park, it was getting a little bit hectic. So that's why I haven't been doing them. But I'm sure there's going to be some cases popping up real soon that I might have to go ahead and make this thing get back in the seat and in the saddle all day. So let's go.